Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Turning to page 122 if you're online, 240 if you're with us in person. We find Michamocha here, our remembrance of crossing the sea. And at so many points in our yearly cycle, we say, this moment, this one, is exactly what it was like to cross the sea. And I'm here to tell you this morning that this moment, this one, is exactly like crossing the sea. Because here we are in the month of Elul. It is as though we are making our way towards something new, something promised up ahead. And I am imagining that moment when at the end of the Ne'ilah service, we make our way through the gates and into the promised land of the year ahead. We'll look back on this period now as though we were in transition, making our way through the mud and the muck of the bottom of the sea with no water on it. Like, imagine, that's mucky stuff, right? Just like making our way through all of what we've been through in this past year and looking towards what lies ahead, promised for us on the other side. Page 240.
We're going to begin with the nigun, a wordless melody that goes like this. Yai, lai, 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 and then we give two claps. Ya, lai, 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 ya, la, lai, 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 ya, lai, 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 ya, la, 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 la. Michamocha, who is like you, O God? Michamocha ba'elim Adonai, Michamocha nehedar b'kodesh, lo ratehi lo tosefele, lo ratehi lo tosefele. Shira chadasha, shibech u'golim, l'shimcha l'sefat hayam, yachad kulam hodu vehimlichu, hodu vehimlichu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Sur Yisrael, kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, ufdeichenu mecha Yehuda be'Yisrael. Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
As we turn to page 244, we get ready for the Yes, you can go ahead and stand if you want, or you can wait like 30 more seconds. Either way, up to you. I like that you were ready, though. That's good. As we turn to the Amidah, we get ready to stand and enter into this next section of prayer that gives us both some time for community, but also internal reflection. And I am reminded of, Torah study crew, you give me so much fodder for this service right now, especially because they come together. We read a reading this morning about the shofar, about how the shofar is curved and the sound of the shofar is a bit broken because it reminds us of the work and the fixing and the wholeness that we seek. And it says at the end of the reading that there's nothing more whole than a broken heart. But I was thinking about this reading and noticed this reading on the other side of the page, 243. So let's take this in mind as we notice the ways in which we are seeking healing and wholeness as we enter into prayer. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Let's stand together and enter this prayer, seeking wholeness together.
Yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai lai, yalla lai lai. אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניכם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. And turning to page 248, we are continuing to familiarize ourselves with this new Kedoshah that we will be singing together for the high holidays. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shemakdishim oto, bishmei marom ka'katuv, al yad neviecha, v'kacha zeh lezeh, v'kacha zeh lezeh, v'kacha zeh lezeh v'yamar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tsevaot, Meloch ol haaretz, Meloch ol haaretz kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adonai Adonenu, Madir Shimcha bechol haaretz. Baruch kevod Adonai mimkomo. Echad hu Eloheinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Moshienu vehu yashmienu berachamav leinei kol chai, ani Adonai Elohechem. Yimloch Adonai leolam, Elohayich Tzion, ledor vador, ledor vador, hallelujah. Ledor vador nagid golecha, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש
take some time for individual prayers and reflection, and we'll come back together in just a few moments. You may be seated.
We're going to continue with meditative words on page 260. Yehiyu leratzon imrefi vehegyon libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegohali Adonai tzuri vegohali May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer. Amen.
We'll continue with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our service for the reading of the Torah. You can find our liturgy on page 362. Let's stand together, and as we open the Ark, this is my favorite thing when we get to Parshat Shoftim. When we open the Ark, we will see inside of our Ark the famous words from this week's Parsha, Tzedek, Tzedek tirdof, justice, justice shall you pursue.
Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, vein kema'asecha, malechutecha malchut kol olamim, ulmemshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai himloch leolam va'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yitein, Adonai yevarech et hamo v'shalom, avarachamim, heitiv avirtzonecha et Zion. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Gadol Shemo, Galul Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachtav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Ve'Hagevura, Ve'Hatiferet, Ve'Hanetzach, Ve'Hahod, Kichol Bashamayim Uvaretz, Kichol Bashamayim Uvaretz, Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha Ve'Habina Lechol Lerosh, Omemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Ishtachavu Lechar Kodsho, Omemu Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Ishtachavu Lechar Kodsho, Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu, Ki Kadosh Adonai Eloheinu Romemu, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Haolam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Haolam Omed.
Well, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Are we looking for copies of the text? They are gone. They probably all got moved. Oh, there's one. We have two.
I have three then. I have one here.
Oh, my. Someone's been hoarding the Torah. It's okay if you don't want to follow along. That's fine. I just need one person who has the book to read out loud for me for a moment. But Harvey walked away, so someone else has a chance to grab the number one reading spot if you want it. All right, Abby, so I'm going to tell you where, though. So even though, Cantor, I'm assuming you're chanting from the beginning, because we all love Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof. Right, so Parshat Shoftim begins with Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof, which are the famous words from this parsha, but there actually are other words in the parsha. Thank you, Jackie. But who can tell us, thank you, Harvey, what Tzedek, Tzedek, Tirdof, those famous words from Parshat Shoftim, what do those words mean? Rabbi Levi, I'm so glad that you remember. Yes. You don't even have to be a rabbi to know it. Steve Goldston knows it too. Justice, justice you shall pursue. And so, presumably, this parsha teaches us about justice. Now, before we look at the parsha, when you think about justice, just first thing that comes to mind, what kind of world, when you hear the word justice, what do you imagine you will learn about? Now, if you know the answer, I'm looking at you, rabbis, and the rest of you, what do you imagine a parsha all about justice might be about? Like, what kinds of things would we learn?
Being fair to each other.
Being fair. Nice. Respect. A peaceful world, right? Law and order. All right, so we're going to take a look. Turn to page 1303, if you're in the same version of the text as I am. We are going to read from Deuteronomy 20, verses 10 through 14. And I apologize, Harvey, Abby already volunteered.
I did?
Abby already volunteered, so you lost your spot as number one reader. But you had it in Torah study, so it's okay. All right, Abby, we're going to read verses 10 through 14, if you're there.
When you approach a town to attack it, you shall offer it terms of peace. If it responds peaceably and lets you in, all the people present there shall serve you at forced labor. If it does not surrender to you, but would join battle with you, you shall lay siege to it.
Lovely. Is it feeling like tzedek tzedek tir dof? This is the message. This is the message of Parshat Shoftim. Tell me, what is happening here in this section? Now, granted, we just pulled a little bit, but what's happening here in this brief section from Parshat Shoftim? What are we learning? Just,
Rape and pillage.
yeah. But what happens first before we rape and pillage?
They have a chance to surrender, basically.
Yeah. So first, before you attack the town, first offer terms of peace. Okay, so we have to, so first it's a little confusing when we first look at it because we think, well, this is Torah and we're being told to like kill people and take women and children and use the booty and enjoy it, right? So it doesn't feel like the kind of message that we particularly want to glean from Torah. But if we take it in context, we always have to not apologize for the text, but contextualize the text. That we have a group of vulnerable Israelites making their way through the desert, about to enter the promised land, and war is going to be a fact of the lives that they are living. So if we put it in context and we assume that bad things are going to happen, how do we see justice manifest in the text itself? Do we see justice manifest in the text? Is anything just happening?
Well, if they're asking for a friendly welcome in for peace first, and that's not given to them, then they're feeling justified in taking the next step to take over, save themselves.
Right. So if we assume that bad things are going to happen, but at least what this text is teaching us that perhaps we can understand as progressive for its time and place is that before just attacking people in their sleep, first we try to come to terms in a peaceful way, that perhaps the lesson actually is a peaceful lesson. Now, my lesson today is not that before attacking someone you should try to do so peacefully, but rather to see the overall context of Parshat Shoftim and this particular section as an instruction to fight fair. That conflict is going to exist. Conflict is going to exist in our lives. We should not be attacking towns. That is not the message. Not the message. But that there will be times in our lives and in our relationships where conflict arises, where we need something from someone else, where we have a miscommunication, where we have to make our way through a bumpy patch. And the lesson of Shoftim is when we go into these inevitable conflict situations, that we remember that we approach from a place of peace. We can always approach from a place of peace, even if we know that the content lying ahead might be difficult. So give me an example, not of a time that you attacked a town, but of a time that you went into a situation that you knew might be a situation embedded with conflict. Anyone have one from their lives? Mask wearing situation, right? We all went through 2 years of this, and maybe still are, right? That going into a situation, going into a public space, anytime in the last 2 years, there was going to be a sense of either internal or external conflict. Am I going to wear a mask? Am I not going to wear a mask? What's the rule going to be? Am I going to follow the law of the land? If I go into Costco and they say wear a mask, am I going to just put it on? Or am I going to be the one to make a fuss here because I don't want to wear a mask, right? So we can enter from a place of peace. And what does it look like in that sense to enter from a place of peace? Georgianne?
That you're not being confrontational.
We don't want to be the person that ends up on YouTube, right? To enter from a place of peace, to not start the conflict, right? When you go into Costco, you got to follow Costco's rules. All right, when else might you enter a moment of conflict?
Situation in this society.
Anytime we talk about politics, right? Anytime we're talking about politics, especially in a room where we don't know if everyone is aligned with us, we know that we are treading on tricky ground, that we are entering potential conflict. What does it mean in that case? You go into a room and you really want to talk about, oh gosh, what can I say that's not going to rile anyone in this room up? You want to talk about Anything. How do you enter from a place of peace? What do we do? Yeah.
Always go in with a smile. I found that when you have a situation that might arise or a conflict, if you go in with a smile, it diffuses a lot of things.
Yeah.
It calms you down.
So part of what we can do is notice like you come in arms crossed, right? Fists up. It's not going to work. Tone of voice. And what's the next step then, too? Other than just what we're presenting, what else?
Get the other person's perspective maybe first.
Like to actually listen. To enter from a place of peace is not only about what we're putting out, but who we actually are. That we actually have to have a peaceful heart. We actually have to be ready to listen. We have to be open to changing our own minds, which is hard. Hard and not always possible, but sometimes, right? Or at least willing to see the person behind the idea. Being able to see that they are as honest in their belief as you are in yours, and as loving in their belief as you are in yours. So, Shoftim. We're not going to rape and pillage. We're not going to attack any towns. We're not going to take anyone's booty. But what we can learn from this is about approaching conflict, approaching the inevitable conflict in our world from a peaceful heart, from a peaceful mind, and from a sense of understanding and love. Tzedek, tzedek, tirdof. May we come to a place of justice through each of us presenting from a place of peace. You can find our Torah reading today, if you are following along in the book that Harvey so graciously found for you. Shoftim, page 1294. Is there anyone here today who is celebrating something or just simply wants an opportunity for an aliyah today? Harvey. Are you celebrating something?
No, I'm just volunteering.
I appreciate it.
Yamod Shlomo ben Mordecai Tzvi.
Shmuel Tzvi ben Mordechai.
So close.
I got it all right.
It's
just
only
in
been
different
5
order.
years. We're so close.
Shmuel ben Mordecai Tzvi.
Shmuel Tzvi ben Mordechai.
Shmuel Tzvi.
Yamod Shmuel Tzvi ben Mordecai. Yamod Rishon.
You have your blessing?
I have a blessing.
All right, right there, right up here.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Hamim. V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Go ahead and hold this for me. Thank you. Amen. שופטים ושוטרים תיתן לך בכל שעריך אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך לשבטך ושפטו את העם משפט צדק לא תיתן משפט, לא תכיר פנים, ולא תיקח שוחד, כי השוחד יעבר עיני חכמים, ויסלף דברי צדיקים. צדק, צדק תרדוף, למען תחיה וירשת את הארץ, אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך.
Yashko.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Hayei Olam Nata B'Tochenu Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Yasher Koach, and thank you, Harvey. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, Mordechai, Tzvi, Ben.
Shmuel Tzvi ben Mordechai.
So close.
Between the two of us.
Since you have come up to the Torah in honor of God and Torah, may you merit from the Holy One of blessings protection, rescue from any trouble or distress, and from any illness, minor or serious. May God send blessing and success to you in every endeavor. And together with all of Israel, let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Harvey. Shabbat shalom. Thank you.
Oops.
Sorry, I've got cords everywhere because I don't have pockets. They make these things for people with pockets, and unfortunately, women's clothing does not always go that way. Let's turn to page 371 or 253. If you are thinking of someone who is in need of healing today, we draw strength from the Torah and the lessons within it, approaching always from a place of peace. If there is a name you are thinking of this morning for healing, we invite you to say that name out loud.
מי שברך אבותינו ואמותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב שרה רבקה רחל ולאה הוא יברך וירפא את החולים הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להאכיל עמם ולרפאותם ולהחזיקם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף השתה בגלה ובזמן קריב ונאמר אמן.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand as we lift and dress the Torah.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. So I don't want you to open up your books to the Haftarah this morning, because what the Haftarah is because of the wisdom of the rabbis, we were able to sustain our Jewish tradition through two of the most tumultuous times in our history, the Babylonian occupation and the Roman occupation that ended into diaspora. And so what the rabbis were able to do was connect portions of the prophets to the weekly Torah portions, so that even though we weren't necessarily reading the weekly Torah portions, because the prophets talk about the weekly Torah portions in their visions, it was as if we were studying the Torah when we were studying these selections of the prophets. So, in light of that, this morning for our Haftarah, I am going to use two musical prophets to explain in context Tzedek, tzedek tirdof, justice, justice, you shall pursue, and like the Haftarah, it is on a positive note ending. So this justice, justice, we will pursue, was written by two colleagues of mine, cantors Rebecca Mirsky and Jackie Rafi, and it is a challenge, it is an encouragement for us to pray with our feet, with our hands, with our voices, with our hearts, any way we know how to bring justice further into our world. We will be human and we will be holy. We will be seekers, and sometimes we'll find. We will be loving, and we will be tender. And justice, justice, justice we will pursue. We will pray sitting, and we will pray walking. We'll pray for healing, and we'll pray for strength, and we'll pray for hope and understanding. And justice, justice, justice we will pursue. And we will stand up, and we will fall down, and we will be righteous, and we'll miss the mark, and we will be torches of light, upright and shining. And justice, justice, justice we will pursue. Let justice roll it down like waters, righteousness flow like a stream. We'll keep on running till it is no dream. Yes, justice, justice, justice we will pursue. And justice, justice, justice we will pursue. Amen.
Musical interpretation. Let's turn to page 374 or 256 and stand as we return the Torah to the ark.
Hallelujah, את שם אדוני, כי נשגב שמו לבדו. אותו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם כרלי עמו. תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו. הללויה, הללויה. עץ חיים היא, למה חזיקים בה, ותומכיך מאושר. דרכיך דרכי נועם, וכל נתיבותיך שלום. השיבנו אדוני אליך ונשובה. חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו כקדם.
Let's stay standing as we continue with Aleinu, page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Let's turn to page 598 as we prepare ourselves for words of Kaddish. If there is someone you are thinking of whose yahrzeit occurs at this time, someone who died at this time in years past, or if you are remembering someone who has died in recent days, we invite you at this time to share their names out loud so that we as a community can support you as a mourner. We find words of Kaddish on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon u'v'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. B'agalau v'izman kari v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yithalal, shemei dekudasha, b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those who are in mourning, and comfort to all who are bereaved as we say together, amen.
Let's join together in a prayer for peace. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Stephanie, you're not going anywhere.
Stop right where you are, Stephanie.
Come up here. Come up here,
Yes,
Stephanie.
I know.
Come on up
We're
here,
doing
Stephanie.
this. Because when we love somebody,
As much as we love you,
we embarrass them to the amount that
yes,
we love
we
them.
do. For everybody who knows, this is Stephanie's birthday today. And Stephanie is our AV director and coordinator, and she enables us to be seen and heard with a lot of love, so we felt...
Would you like me to go adjust one of the cameras so it's directly on you? Yes?
Come on up. Come on up. It's not every day somebody gets to celebrate their 21st birthday. So let us all sing together to Stephanie, wishing her mazel tov on her birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Stephanie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Stephanie. We love you. And before we, do this,
It's ready.
just if there's any announcements
It's tuned, I
happening, I want to mention that we have our Elul book group has formed. We are reading This is Real and You Are Completely Unprepared by Alan Blue, which should get us aware of the reality and a little more prepared for the High Holy Days. We'll be having our book discussion Thursday night, I want to say September 25th. 22nd? I did that the wrong way. Yeah. The thing went out saying it was the 25th, but it's not. It's the 22nd. It will be both in person and on Zoom, so please join us for that. Cantor, anything you've got?
It's never too early to think about the end of the High Holidays. But right before they go ahead and end, we're going to be building the sukkah together on Sunday morning, October 9th at 7:30, so that I can be ready for the kiddos who come to Hebra that morning.
Hebra, our religious school.
Our religious
program.
school. So if you want to go ahead and join our sukkah building team, it's really, really fun. So come up and talk to me afterwards, and I'll tell you more about it.
All right.
Okay.
Tekiah. Shvarim. Trua. See preparation. Kehilah Kedoshah. Yashikoa. High holidays are coming. Please join us in the rotunda for Kiddush and Motzi. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being here.
Shabbat Shalom.